roast beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
In the heart of the Northeast, there lies a hidden beast, a dragon's lair at the crossroad, guarded by the maiden Mother Crone. A treasure trove of spells galore, discover incense, books, jewelry, and more. Just as the oracles foretold, this is where your mystery unfolds. As the shadows creep and the veil gets thin, do not fear what lies within. Magus Books is where your journey begins. Visit us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis or online at magusbooks.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 39, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 64. For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. We're gonna have a great conversation tonight, and there's a lot of other stuff that we're gonna be talking about that's going to be coming up over the next week that I want to touch upon as well. Also tonight, don't forget, folks, we are giving away the free tickets to the new Ghostbusters film, Frozen Empire. We're going to have that going, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be for next week. We'll give a little bit more details later in the program. But one of the things that I really wanted to do, as I was saying right before the program started, one of the things I really wanted to be able to do was have Susan B. Martinez on tonight. And the reason why is when I found out about her book, I mean, I think she's written about 10 books or something like that. When I found out about her book, Field Guide to the Spirit World, The Science of Angel Power, Discarnate Entities, and Demonic Possessions, right away, I'm just like, yeah, I kind of want to talk to her about that. And I'm really excited to have this conversation because I think this is a book, if you don't know the book, which I would be surprised if a lot of people don't know the book, but if you don't, I think this is a great way to get you to maybe check it out. But also, if you are familiar with the book, and if you're not, if you're just curious about the questions we're the stuff we're talking about tonight, put it into the comments as well, because Susan will be able to answer some questions and stuff. And we have her on the phone tonight. Susan, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, even though it's past my bedtime.
I know. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Well, you can stay up and watch the sunrise. It's just a couple hours away now, so you're good. So, I mean, you're talking about all these, these concepts. I mean, all this stuff happens at night anyway, so it seems to be perfect for you to be up tonight and talking about them.
Yeah, no problem.
So the book is called Field Guide to the Spirit World, and it is, and I was looking because I have a copy of the book right here, Susan. Which, first of all, I'm a big fan of still the physical books, and this is a beautiful book. And I mean, that may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but to me, a book is not only interesting from the contents inside, but what it looks like, the feel of it, the size of it, everything about it makes it something that I want to invest my time in to read. And so this is fantastic. Now, one of the things I read here, and this is from the Amazon description here, it says Martinez presents Overshadowing by Spirits as a universal cross-cultural phenomenon, documenting modern and traditional accounts as well as corroborating indigenous beliefs. I find that to be a very interesting sentence there. Can you tell us a little bit about what this book is about, please?
Well, that description you just read, it sounded new to me. I just wasn't familiar with it, but it's nice that they said that about indigenous beliefs, because the spirit world is real. It's second nature to most indigenous tribes. It's just the industrialized Western, technologized Western world that has their doubts.
Yeah. So what was it then that really got you to decide that this is the book that you want to write about?
Well, I started out writing about, you could call it the proto-history, the records of the race, what happened tens of thousands of years ago. And those books turned out to be a trilogy. There were 3 of them. One discussing the lost continents, another discussing the little people who were the original tribes on Earth, and the other one about a book basically dissing Darwinian evolution and setting the record straight, what really did happen and how, well, we haven't even evolved. We've just basically the theme of that book is that we hybridized and intermarried. We never evolved in the Darwinian sense. Anyway, when I got those books out of the way, what was left? I did a book on some critical analysis of issues, and it's kind of interesting that the book on spirit was the last one. That was the last one I published with Inner Traditions. It was like the final one, It was like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just get this over with, because for the faithists, which I am, spirit life is real, and most of the world is going around with questions in their mind, but those of us who studied OSPE, which is my main inspiration, have a deeper and more solid understanding of what spirit life is like.
So for the contents of this book, is this something that kind of like just, you didn't have to, did you have to do really a lot of research, or is this really just kind of poured out from you then?
The book that required the most research was the Origins of Man, the N.G. Darwin book. That took 2 years. Normally, a book just took me about a year. This book took me about a year or so. And there's just as much research or putting things together as for any other book. But I'll tell you what, when I have an interview like tonight, sometimes I bone up a little bit on my subject, on the subject that I know they're interested in. But for this one, I know I didn't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, and I find that, I find it really interesting because, I mean, this is something that so many of us are interested in. So many of us want, even if we have our own ideas of what happens after we die, we still want to read about, like, for example, what are you saying it is? What are you saying is happening? Because, do you have people coming up to you and saying that they want to read it because it makes them feel better about what they feel happens to them after they pass, something for them to get ready for, or is it completely different?
Well, people do want the truth. They're a little scared of it, but on the other hand, there is more of a reaching to the light these days. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
there is. Yeah.
So, and what you said just now is the key issue, which is what happens after we die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer is that we don't die. The body is gone, but the spirit floats up
Mm-hmm.
and begins the resurrections.
And that's the hardest thing for us probably to fully understand, that we continue living after our bodies die. And that
I
seems
know, because we live in such a materialistic society, and that's also something that's coming to an end very shortly. And so, and that's why this is more on people's minds these days, because the materialist paradigm is going down the drain pretty quick.
yeah. So what is going to happen? What is, because you said it's all changing quickly. What is going to happen?
Well, what is going to happen is already happening.
Yeah.
And things are in a state of collapse. There's at one level there's a lot of confusion,
Yeah.
and then at another level it moves into chaos, and from chaos it moves into collapse. And we're all kind of feeling the house of cards is coming down pretty rapidly around us. And there are a lot of people with enough awareness to be preparing themselves in some way or another. But I will tell you that the worldview that I follow says that what comes after this material paradigm is a spiritual paradigm.
Yeah. Do you see that as like a refresh then, so to speak?
I don't like technology, and I don't like using the terms too much. No, it's really, we're facing a redemption, and renewal. It's all coming together. It's all part of the same package.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, I kind of think I was meaning more along the lines of renewal anyway. I mean, a week or so back, we were talking with somebody else, Suzanne Worthley, and we were talking about just the overall energy of the world at the moment, how everyone's feeling and stuff. And I feel like this conversation is directly adjacent to that conversation we had a week ago. You're not saying anything that sticks out as different than what I've been hearing also from people. It seems to all kind of check out for me personally.
Right. So this conversation has a lot to do with prophecy, and I will tell you what the faiths prophesy, or what we see in front of us is that the planet and the solar system are moving into a region of greater light, of very expansive light. It's a cosmic thing, and there's a target year, which is something like 2048, 2050, and there's a system of numbers that determines this. We'll talk about that another time, but each day that we're living now, there's more and more light. And hang on, I'll drink a little water.
No problem. We are talking with author Susan B. Martinez. We're talking tonight about her book, Field Guide to the Spirit World, The Science of Angel Power, Discarnate Entities, and Demonic Possession. And this book is available through Amazon, and I do recommend everyone checking it out. So, I think that I think this is a very important conversation. So thank you, Susan, for joining me tonight about it.
Oh, great. Yeah, so in fact, we've been working on these numbers and these dates a lot lately, and and we're focused on 2034 right now, because apparently from the charts that we're working from, that is the point where the forces of darkness will be equaled by the forces of light. And from that point on, the light only grows and the darkness diminishes.
Okay. All right.
But that both of these issues are important for people to know, so they're not in the dark and so they're not so depressed. For one thing, we're moving toward the light.
Mhm.
We're moving toward harmony and brotherhood, which will come after all this other stuff unfolds. Or I didn't get the right verb there, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And the other point for people to cheer up a little is that life goes on in a spiritual form.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, actually, because in the comments, someone had said that it's interesting, but it also sounds very scary. But change in general is scary, right?
Well, the whole truth is scary for all of us because we're not perfect, and sometimes we're far from perfect, and really the purpose of life is to become more perfect, and we're caught up in other stuff, and we're caught up in excuses, so we're carrying around this guilty conscience all the time, and yeah, it is scary. If you really want to get scared, read Oaspe.
Read what?
Oaspe.
Okay.
That is the new Bible that is our inspiration, the of the faithists. It's spelled Oaspe, and it's actually 3 syllables, which stands for earth, sky, and spirit. O is sky, is earth. That's an Algonquin word.
Sure.
And spe is spirit. So it's the Oaspe Bible that has these revelations all about the afterlife, all about the records of the race, all about the new science too, and yet it's a fairly unknown thing.
I got it. Understood. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Susan B. Martinez. The book is Field Guide to the Spirit World. If you have any questions, put them into the comments. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host Paganicon 2024, March 15th through the 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to Paganicon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. Paganicon is a pagan conference offering workshops, panels, discussions, social space, music, a ball, vendors, and much more. Paganicon is an educational and social venue for pagans, Wiccans, heathens, druids, people of other folk, craft, indigenous, and magical traditions. Paganicon has a vendor room and third offering art gallery, which are both open to the public all weekend. Paganicon is a safe place, not only to be yourself, but to meet other like-minded individuals. Register now. Check out Paganicon's full weekend, day only, and special event rates. Go to tcpaganpride.org and click on Paganicon to register and get more details.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
And as I mentioned in the last break, Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host Paganicon 2024, March 15th through 17th at the Crown Plaza Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to Paganicon to experience a deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all of our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. Paganicon is a safe place to not only be yourself, but meet other like-minded individuals as well. And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Tonight we are talking with Susan B. Martinez. She is the author of the book Field Guide to the Spirit World, The Science of Angel Power, Discarnate Entities, and Demonic Possession. If you have a question, please put it into the comments. We're talking about some concepts that I think might be, well, some people have put into the comments, and we talked about the last segment, Susan. Some people, it's like it sounds scary and whatnot. When you're talking about change and you're talking about that materialistic side of things disappearing, what exactly are you saying? Are you saying that we are all going to go away?
Not at all. But look at the shape the world's in right now.
Yep.
Wars, poverty, pogroms, bigotry, racism, mass movements, sickness, just, right down the line. And we can see that things are getting worse, and we can only guess what's coming. But in the revelations, in the prophecies, we understand that this is the breakdown of our civilization.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Here's my question. It's just a very, it's just a very honest question. Every so often we run into people saying this sort of thing, and I don't disagree with any of the things you're saying about the current state of the world. My question is, how do we know that this time it is real?
Because you can see what's going on right now, and you can see that we don't have solutions to it. The other day I read something in the news, and I wish I could remember who had said it, because in 3 words he said the truth, and the quote is, "Washington is broken."
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about politics, but
yeah.
That's typical of the point I'm making. Our whole system is broken. Our system is immoral. It's wrong, and there is a level of progress for humanity, which started in the very beginning and culminates at the point in time that we are at now. I wouldn't know this without the revelations that are available to us through OASPE. But once you read it, you see this is true. We're in a tribulation. Not that many people are going to disagree with what I'm saying. But what most people don't realize is that, the thing has to drop. It has to fall in order for the rebuilding to begin, or in your words, the refresh.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing about this is that some of these are like the Bible that you're talking about is new to me, but I'm going to be honest, Susan, the stuff that you're saying, I'm totally tracking with. I'm looking at the situation on Earth, and I'm not looking at any political party. I'm looking at just everything in general, just as you just said. And I think to myself, and I'm like, I don't see how we can, the way that things are currently moving, I don't see how we can move forward. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
I feel like I am
And,
saying the same thing you are. So I apologize, but I just want to reiterate that I do see what you're talking about.
right. And it's very hard to deal with, and the only way I'm able to deal with it is to have the revelations in front of me. This prophecy doesn't just come from Oaspe, although Oaspe is the newest Bible in the world.
Mhm.
I've studied prophecy from India, from the Maya, from all over the place, and the most inspired and a Native American as well, especially Native American, they all say the same thing. We're going through a transition. The Hopi and the Maya call it the fifth world.
Mhm.
Faces call it something else. We call it Cosmon, the new era that's rising now. The Hindus call it Satya Yuga, etc., etc. But this is known, and this has always been known.
Yeah.
It's just that right now we are in the most critical moments, and really the only way I feel that people can deal with it is to give their heart to the Creator and go onward with faith in their heart, with faith in humanity, in humankind. That's also part of the picture now, because we have reached a point in the maturity of mankind where people will refuse to be enslaved anymore, refuse to be abused anymore. It's really happening. So it's some kind of tribulation, and I think the next decade is going to be pretty wild. Even I think this year is going to be pretty wild.
Yeah.
But like I say, we're moving toward the light. More people are waking up to the issues, and we can't solve anything without waking up to the issues.
Are you kind of saying that the best place to start to get ready for everything is to start at home with yourself, that you are trying to be the best person that you can be, where you're trying, it's like there's a whole big world out there, but you got to start with yourself and kind of, in a sense, ground yourself.
Well, that's absolutely true. But I have seen that taken to too great a length, where it begins to shut out the rest of the world.
Sure.
And it becomes a matter of self. And self is the problem. Self is the problem. So, yes, of course, self-perfection and self-development is absolutely necessary. But when the focus becomes too sharp in that area, I don't agree with it. I'll tell you, I read a quote. I think it was, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Socrates, or somebody anyway. He said, I wonder if I can't find it, and I hate rephrasing it because it's so great. But it boiled down to the point that the truly religious person cares about justice and is modest. Now, to me, that vibrated completely with my worldview, because if you shut out the world and try to ignore all the horrible things that are happening in the world, you're digging your head in the sand. And if you seek for self-importance and leadership and all that kind of thing, you're no longer modest. And modesty and the love of justice are the things that are going to save us, the people who are going to save us.
Mm. It's interesting. I personally foresee, uh, I see battles all around. I see battles in our country, that are not just with words. Do you think that is where things are heading?
Well, could you rephrase that or something?
Do you think we're going to have a civil war?
Oh, no. I think that's sort of a fantasy of the right wing.
Mm.
No, I will tell you that prophecy. I'll tell you what prophecy says about that.
Yeah.
Um, all this stuff that's called polarization
Mm-hmm.
and extremes, you always see about that in commentaries. What's happening now, the extreme polarization. Okay, the deplorables and snowflakes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is in prophecy called the dividing of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, I don't think there's civil war. I think that the groups are going to their own temper. They're forming. You know that. For example, doctors and teachers have been moving out of the red states big time lately.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about that?
Well, yeah. I think, yeah, I have heard that. Let's just leave it at that. Yes, I've heard that.
Okay. So that's the first sign of the dividing of the way. So the tribes will separate because there's no reconciliation in store for us. There's no unity in store for us right now. We have to divide. In the Holy Bible, it's dividing the sheep from the goats and the wheat from the chaff. So it's the same deal. No, I don't see a civil war. I see the red and the blue each going their own way, and when things really after the upheavals, there will be communities forming. It's already this pattern has already started, and so we will separate. And this is going on all over the world. People want autonomy for their regions, for their countries. So many dozens of countries are faced with a secessionist impulse. So, no, not a civil war, but a dividing of the way until we find our own people and can make community out of that. I was just reading today about the way you can set up grid for small communities, small nuclear stations and things like that, wind power, solar power, etc. So all of this is possible, and this is the community that people are really craving for because we don't have it anymore. We don't belong to anything anymore.
So you're seeing it as but you're still seeing it as a country divided then, right? You're seeing everyone kind of huddling together like hanging out with like.
Yes.
Interesting. Just for a sake of balance, I'm going to be very honest. When people have talked to me about their thoughts of Civil War, it's always come from the left as well. I think I've seen it from both sides, and I just need to say it that way as myself being more of a centralist. That I feel like that. I hear it. Because there is that energy in the air. People have uncertainty of what's coming their way, and this year in particular is one of those high energy years that I think a lot of people feel like, and you kind of alluded that a lot of what might be precipitated here is coming from this year.
2024?
Yes.
Go on.
Well, right? I think everyone looks at let's be political. I don't be political on the show, but let's be political. People are worried on both sides who is going to be president, and like the people who in each side, it's not one side over the other. Both sides are looking at whoever their candidate gets to be president. That is going to be the catalyst for what takes down our country, our world, whatever their fear is. It just seems like that is the direction that everyone that I'm talking to see that's taking on a level like that. And it's not just it's not just the left, it's not just the right. I mean, they all feel the same about each other's side.
But I associate the left with a more pacifistic desire, and I associate the right with guns and so forth, and more, and killing.
Well, but that's a personal thing. That's a personal preference, though, right? I mean what I'm getting at though is I have a lot of friends on the right, and and I think that's a generalization. To be perfectly honest, I think that's a generalization that is kind of uncalled for, because there are people there who are, and I am not on the right, but there are people there who, they are just scared in general. And that, and that ties into what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the problem in general when we're in a year like this, is that I personally don't like to label it on certain people. And what you're saying is that you're going to take it to that we're going to be broken out by those factions. And I don't disagree with that. And there's going to be, if that's the case, I can see factions of people who are like-minded, but they may not be exactly on the same page. But, I really hope, and this is a scary thing, is that people are, their families are breaking up. People are not able to be connected like they were, because politics is tearing them apart. That's
right. It goes right down to the family, and that's how it's happening.
So why don't let's well, shoot, we're almost at a break already. we just start. We haven't really talked about the book a whole lot either.
That's okay. I was hoping this would happen.
So why don't we go ahead and do this? I don't even know where I am anymore. It just all went by so quickly. And those who know me and those who watch the show know that I never talk about this stuff on the air. So this is You got it out of me tonight, Susan. This is your.
Well, because the subject of spirituality requires this, for in my world.
Well, and
it requires looking at the whole thing and being part of the whole thing.
Absolutely, and this is your reward for staying up late. So,
okay.
Why don't we go ahead? Let's take our next break. When we come back, we're gonna talk. I want to talk a little bit about angel power and what Discarnate Entities are, plus any questions you have in it. We're going to also give away some Ghostbuster tickets. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host Paganicon 2024, March 15th through the 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to Paganicon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. Paganicon is a pagan conference offering workshops, panels, discussions, social space, music, a ball, vendors, and much more. Paganicon is an educational and social venue for pagans, Wiccans, heathens, druids, people of other folk, craft, indigenous, and magical traditions. Paganicon has a vendor room and third offering art gallery, which are both open to the public all weekend. Paganicon is a safe place, not only to be yourself, but to meet other like-minded individuals. Register now. Check out Paganicon's full weekend, day only, and special event rates. Go to tcpaganpride.org and click on Paganicon to register and get more details.
Magus Books, your multicultural spiritual supply store. Stop in and expand your horizons with books, classes, readings, and supplies at magusbooks.com or in our shop at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis. From the best incense to beautiful statues, we have supplies and books for your spiritual explorations. Come in and chat with our knowledgeable staff and get what you need for your next adventure, whether you're fighting ghosts or opening your third eye. Check us out today at magusbooks.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Are you interested in learning traditional Reiki but aren't sure who to trust? Liz Johnson of Mega's Books has been teaching and initiating students for over 30 years. Her next open session for Reiki 1 is March 17th, starting at noon. To register or learn more, visit megasbooks.com. Now, join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to have on author John Russell. We're going to talk about one of his books. He has a number of books out as well. This book is called Riding with Ghosts, Angels, and Spirits of the Dead. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. John and I have been trying to get him on the show for a while. I'm glad that we're finally able to do so. That is going to be tomorrow. Definitely check it out. Now, GhostBox Radio and Sony Pictures would like to invite you to a special preview screening of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire on Tuesday, March 19th at 7 p.m. at Showplace Icon Theaters in St. Louis Park. After tonight's show, and tonight is Tuesday, March 12th, after tonight's show, look for a link on both GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun and AM 950 Radio Facebook pages. Click the link and get your tickets. Tickets are limited, so get them as soon as you can. Thank you for being a listener to AM 950 and GhostBox Radio. Now, welcome back to our program. We're in our final segment, and we've been having quite the conversation tonight with author Susan B. Martinez. We've been talking about her book, Field Guide to the Spirit World, the science of angel power, discarnate entities, and demonic possession. And Susan, I'm curious, what are discarnate entities?
That's a term that's familiar in the literature. It's not my own term, but I use it because it's understood.
Sure.
In my book, it's just a matter of earthbound entities, people who have died and gone to heaven, but not really gone very far up and still remain in the earth plane, and their spirit is capable of attaching themselves to earthly things and earthly people.
Sure. So people that and with these then these spirits still have like the clinginess of like material wants. For example, say like a grandmother who still is attached to her house because she loves her house. She doesn't want to let her house go. Is that sort of what you're talking about?
Yes, it's mostly in families.
Sure. That's why they get so angry when you start ripping down the wallpaper that they want there, and they start doing stuff around the house so that that someone's displeased over there.
I was just thinking the other day that's probably why they call them familiar spirits.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's really true. And it's. Do you have a theory why they don't move on beyond the earthly bound?
Because in their life they denied spirit progression, and were not and never got beyond the lower self. The self I was talking about before. That's so dangerous to be so attached to.
So what you're saying is that if they haven't had a very, whatever the spirit is, whatever the creator is, if whatever they're thinking, that is lacking completely in their life, and they don't move forward.
Yeah, because when you get to when you die and go up, there are helpers for everybody, but some people can't handle that. They're not ready for that. They just want and others don't believe they're dead because they still have a kind of consciousness. Maybe they think they're dreaming or something.
Do you believe that you can cross over spirits that are in that state, but to cross them over to the other side, to a veil where they don't have those earthly instincts?
I don't get the question.
Well, if they are, like, the way that I believe it is that they're not on the other side of the veil, and so to be able to transition them so that they can move forward, that they can move on from that earthly plane. Do you see that that's a possibility?
Well, yeah, that's what's going on. The lowest region above the earth is called Hada,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very ancient word, but it found expression, I think, in Greece with the word Hades. It's the same word. Hell is another word for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a progressed spirit spiritually, you just pass right on through that and move toward the first resurrection. And then there are two more resurrections beyond that, and beyond that are the emancipated heavens. And it's a constant progression for the spirit, learning. There are schools, there are nurseries, there are hospitals, there's all kinds of activities. You know, the faithless group that I'm in, many of them are kind of psychic people with a second sight. Some of them able to move into the heavens and go around, and the really good ones get a guide up there and are shown things. So I'm not psychic at all. I'm, more scholarly,
Mm-hmm.
but I have heard their stories, and the last one I heard was a friend who was up there in spirit and was shown a place, and met a 14-year-old boy who died in the Ukraine, and he was put in a group of other young people who had never experienced an earth life, and he was kind of put there as a teacher because those who have not lived include miscarriages, abortions, infanticide, people who died stillborn, etc. So there's just there are schools. There's so much going on, and this knowledge is available to us.
Now, and so that's a good segue. John had a question. He just wanted to know, how do you know all this? Is this because you mentioned that you take things on a more scholarly level? Is it through research then?
Well, I'm sort of the odd man out with that. Most of the faithists are more spiritually gifted than myself, and so I hear their stories and their impressions. But to question how I know it, that gets into a debate agenda that I don't care for. You can think about what I've said. You can accept it. You can reject it. You can do whatever you want with it. But this is a knowledge that came to us through the OASPE Bible, and then we figure out all the things about life that we have questions about, and we compare it to these revelations, and we see that it jives, it resonates. So anybody who believes anything, don't question how they know it. I can't tell you a story how I know what I know.
No, but I think you are putting out there a lot of information, right? And I'm certainly, please don't think I'm coming from a point of that I don't disbelieve or that I discredit what you say. But
No, I was responding to John.
I know, but that I'm taking up John's mantle here. With the question of how do you know all this, I think that, to me, that is more of like, you're giving us a lot of great information, but where is that coming from? And
it comes from, like I said, a basis in OASPE, the revelations we've been given, plus my research, plus my life experiences, plus my gut feelings. You combine all those things when you come to an opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And don't think that your opinion isn't as valid as anyone else's, or that I'm trying to get that impression. It just that
No, I don't. Honey, I don't.
And it's just that, and also, we protect everyone on the show, the people asking the questions versus the guest as well. So this whole place is a safe place in general. And Lynette puts in the comments, she says, I think it's perfectly okay to talk about politics. We can have a conversation. People used to be able to discuss what we want for our society. The problem these days is that there are extreme untruths that are treated as factual, and that's not really a sane or healthy place to come from. And I think, and I think Lynette, you are absolutely right as well, that it is a conversation. Normally this show isn't the place for it. That's why I kind of tiptoed into it a little bit, but I'm glad we are having this conversation.
Me too.
And Susan, I'm really glad that I'm hearing what you are seeing, because the thing is, like I said earlier on, I think that this does mirror a lot of what we've been talking about with the energy of the world. But I am going to say once again, I think that it's everyone feeling this way, and I know that's what you're saying too. I guess I'm just seeing it as kind of very global, I guess, and that's
absolutely.
Just it. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting seeing where we are come January 2025, or February, whatever. What does things look like, and has anything backed off, or has it gotten more intense? And I think you're saying it's going to get more intense.
That's right. And we need to be prepared. We need to prepare ourselves, our spirit, and all the difficulties we're having in our personal lives. It's all part of it. We walk around with people don't know other people's problems anymore, but they're pretty intense, and just we need to come together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just so you know, John had said that, he doesn't want anyone to take offense with the question. He's just asking the question, and that's the way I took it from him.
It's not offense. I'm giving my point of view on that kind of question, because I know that question lurks in a lot of people's minds, and I gave my answer that until you know a person really well, it's not really a valid question.
I disagree with that. I respectfully disagree with that, because if you're going to be in a public place like this, that it's you can have the answer that you have, and that is totally valid. But it's also, I think it's valid for people to ask the question, because you are giving a lot of very, very specific and not very fantastic information. So I think that's fair that he asked the question.
And this is what I know. This is what I know. And if you can know what you want to know, or if you want to know more what I know, that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, that's and I mean, I totally understand that you're putting it out there for people who do want to know more. They can go seek out your work. They can also seek out the Bible that you're talking about. Can you say how it's pronounced again, so I can say it right?
It's spelled OAHSPE, and it's pronounced OASPE.
OASPE. I wanted to make sure I didn't want to get it wrong.
OAHSPE, Earth, Sky, and Spirit. The New Revelations, the New Bible.
Who? Because someone had. It was Joanne that put that question in earlier. We have about a minute left. Who wrote that Bible? Is it a lot of people writing it, or who put that Bible together?
It came through in 1882 through the instrument of a dentist in New York City, whose name was John Newbrow, Dr. Newbrow.
Mm-hmm.
His hands were controlled. The typewriter had just come out in 1876, the Remington, and it came out as automatic writing, automatic typewriting.
Okay.
And there were several legions of angels in charge of the transmission.
Okay. Okay, so it's been kind of angelically transmitted and come through for everyone to be able to read, basically.
Correct.
I understand completely. Before we get too far down the rabbit hole here, because we could go on for hours, and we can't, unfortunately, but we can have this conversation again, Susan, if you want.
I wrote the first book I wrote was on prophecy, and let's talk about that one next time. It's called Time of the Quickening.
Okay, I would love to do that. The book we were talking about tonight, Field Guide to the Spirit World, The Science of Angel Power, Discarnate Entities, and Demonic Possession, that is available on Amazon right now. You can go ahead and get that, and then also look up to see what other books that Susan B. Martinez has written over the years. This has really been quite the conversation tonight. I really appreciate it. So, and then I got my sound effects completely ruined. So we're not even try music at the moment. That's spirit interaction, right? Susan, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for staying up with us. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have on John Russell. We're going to be talking about his book. And then we're going to have the rest of the week with some great programming. Don't forget to get your Ghostbuster tickets. Go online now. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Take care.